Hey guys, my name's Eric and today I'm doing a little video showing you how to make your own homemade smoked pork chops. Right here I have around 5 pounds of boneless pork chops I just picked up this afternoon. Try to get as thick a cut as possible. These are boneless. I would have preferred to get some big fat ones with the bones in them, maybe 1 3/4, 2 inch thick, but I went to Sam's Club today and this is all they had. So this will do fine, mainly because these are pretty thick. They look like they're around 1.5 inches thick, so perfect to let the smoke seep in. Before we actually throw these on the smoker, we're going to do a little brine on it overnight. And the main ingredients for the brine, if you watched my other smoky videos, specifically the salmon one, you need some brown sugar and some kosher salt. I'm also going to be mixing this with some apple cider. Apple juice will do as well. And I'm just going to mix it all up and let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow I'm going to take it out of the brine, rinse them off, let them air dry a little bit, and we'll be putting some Weber steak and chop seasoning on there as a little dry rub before we actually put it in the smoker. So, pretty easy, simplistic recipe. Let me show you how to get the brine started right now. Alright guys, the first thing you want to do obviously is take the pork chops out of the package. You want to rinse them under cold water, lay them out, pat them dry with a paper towel. You can see I got some really nice thick cut boneless pork chops here. They look wonderful. As with tradition now, or at least I'm making a tradition every one of my smoking videos, I'm going to try a new beer, let you guys know what I think of it. The one I'm choosing today is pretty common because it's made by Anheuser-Busch, which I believe is the biggest brewery in the world. Most famous for Bud, which I really don't like, out of St. Louis, Missouri. But they're getting the hint that a lot of people like some different stuff, a little more unique. They're trying to compete with the microbrewery. So they came out with this one called Shock Top Belgian White. And I'll see if I can hold it up there for you guys to see it. This is a Belgian White wheat ale with orange coriander spice. It's unfiltered and it's 5.2% alcohol. I've had this before and it's good. It's got a nice flavor. Even people that normally aren't beer drinkers tend to like this because of the orange peel in it. It adds a little kind of fruity flavor. So even if you're not a true beer connoisseur, most people like this. You'll see the consistency of it here when I get done pouring it. But it's cloudy. It's a cloudy beer. It's a wheat beer. So cheers, thanks for watching my smoking pork chop video. Let me give it a sample. Yeah, very light, very refreshing, very nice for a hot day. It's not too heavy. So if you're looking for something that's not your standard, generic domestic beer that you're sick of, you want a little flavor, you want something a little different, I would highly recommend this if you like wheat beer especially. But enough of that. Let me show you how to brine these. Now the reason I brine pork chops is because I love pork. Pork chop is the leanest cut of pork you can get. There's hardly any fat except the little fat edge you can see. The problem with pork though, with such a lean piece, is that if you overcook it, it gets extremely dry. And when it gets dry, it gets hard, it just loses its flavor. We want to make these things as juicy as possible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these in a liquid brine. I'm going to keep it in the refrigerator overnight. And these chops are going to absorb some of that moisture. So if I cook it for 2-3 hours tomorrow on the smoker, it's not going to completely dry out. It's still going to have that moisture. So this is a real basic brine recipe. Nothing real fancy here. We're going to start off with 1 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of kosher salt. So I'm just gonna pour that in here. Now we're gonna add a little bit of our rub, and the rub that I'm using for this one is the steak and chop seasoning. And then we're gonna add the whole thing, 64 ounces of either apple cider or apple juice. I'm just using this big bowl here to kind of mix it so we don't have lumps. So I'll be back in a second, guys, to show you what's going on. Alright guys, so I mixed all the brine ingredients in here and I'm just stirring it up. The salt, the brown sugar, the apple cider or apple juice, and then a little bit of whatever dry rub seasoning you're using. I divided them into 2 bags because I only have gallon bags. Obviously you can use a big bag if you have a big bag. But yeah, real simple. We're just going to pour some of this solution in each bag. Try to cover all the pork chops. Oh, it smells good. And there you have it. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated. You want to kind of squeeze the air out. I just put it in a bucket like this, obviously, because, you know, these Ziploc bags aren't airtight. Sometimes they leak, and one thing you don't want to deal with is salty brine dripping all over your refrigerator. So yeah, that's it. Just try to squeeze the air out of them, seal them up, put them in a bucket like this so they're not going to spill anywhere. Put them in the fridge overnight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when we pull these out. Good morning, guys. I've taken the pork chops out of the brining bags. I've rinsed them really well under cold water, and I'm just putting them on this rack here to kind of air dry a little bit. Feel free to take a paper towel and just kind of blot them dry on both sides. We just want to kind of get some of that moisture off. Make sure you rinse them because you want to get that salty brine solution off. This will now assure that they'll be nice and tender. You also want to make sure at this point to start soaking your wood chips. Now today I'm using around 70% apple to 30% hickory. The apple is probably the weakest of all the woods. It's recommended for delicate meat like fish, salmon, so forth. Stronger woods tend to overpower it. But since we're dealing with pork here, and pork is a little bit stronger meat that can absorb a stronger smoke, I'm adding that, 30 to 35% of hickory, which gives it a little bit more smoke flavor. I think if I just did apple by itself, it wouldn't quite have that smoke flavor I'm looking for. Make sure, if you haven't picked up one already, if you're going to start smoking on a regular basis, I highly recommend a remote cooking thermometer. This one's got a little thing that I can bring inside the house, and it'll constantly monitor what the temperature is. Now pork, you always have to be careful with pork, cooking it to the right temperature. It used to be the USDA recommended bringing pork up to 160 degrees to make sure it was cooked enough so you wouldn't get sick. But in 2011, they downgraded that estimate because 160 degrees is really cooking it, in my opinion, too much, and it starts to dry out at that temperature. So in 2011, the USDA recommended that 145 is a good temperature. So in this particular case, I'm going to put this on the smoker at around between 200 and 225 degrees. It might take anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. I am cooking some other things in there, which is going to have a bearing on how long this is going to cook. But yeah, I would say keep checking the temperature. Once you hit around 140 degrees, you're pretty much okay. You could take the pork off and then just let it rest, wrap it in foil, because it is going to continue to cook, and it'll bring it up to that 145 temperature. Be aware too, if you've never tried smoked pork, it's normal that it's going to be a little pink in the center. Some people might misunderstand to think it's undercooked pork, but you're going to get a nice smoke ring when you smoke these chops. So it is normal for it to be a little pink. As long as the internal temperature is 145 degrees, you're safe. So basically, after you've kind of let them dry out, now all you do is just apply your rub. And this one I'm using the Weber Steak and Chop seasoning, specifically designed for pork chops. And again, not too complicated. We're just going to sprinkle some on both sides. Rub it in real good. And just let these pork chops sit out on the counter and come to room temperature. Always good to make your meat sit till room temperature until you're ready to cook them. Or throw them on the smoker in this case. Yeah, these are still a little wet on the underside, but just take a paper towel, dab it dry. So you guys get the hang of it. Not too complicated. I'll get these finished up here and show you when we throw them on the smoker. Alright guys, I got the smoker up to 225. As you can see, I'm smoking a few other things, ribs and a couple beer can chickens. Check out the other videos. I made video for each one. But here we got the pork chops. They've been sitting out for around 40 minutes. They're room temperature. we're just going to throw these right on, just as if they were thrown on the grill. Now we want to get these up to 145 degrees internal temperature. These are pretty thick. Then we're going to pull them off and bring the temperature back up to, you know, we're going to tent them with foil. They're probably going to come up to around 145.50, which is more than enough for them to be completely done. Great thing about this, you don't have to flip them or anything. Just make sure there's enough room between each one so they can absorb the smoke flavor. So that's about it. 225. This should take anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. I'm going to come back in probably an hour and a half, check on them, do a spot check on the temperature, and we'll kind of go from there. See you in a little bit. Alright guys, I took the chops off. Their internal temperature is right around 140. I was going to take them out of the smoke at 145, but they do look kind of pale. So I'm just going to finish them off on a hot grill here. Probably just 45 seconds to a minute on each side. I don't want to overcook them here. I just want to get a little crispy coating. So we're just going to do these. I'm going to do a temperature spot check. I'm going to try to get them up to 145, 150, and then we'll tent them in foil. And we should be done. Man, they smell good. So I'll be back in a second. We'll check them out. Alright guys, internal temperature 145. You can see they got a little bit of a burnt crispy coating to them. That's it. They are done. So we're just going to put these inside, cover it with foil, let them sit. Alright guys, here's one of the pork chops. I've let it sit for around 15 minutes. And so now I'm going to slice into it and see how these look. I'm just going to slice a little slices here. Oh yeah, definitely still got some juice in them. Alright, you can see the smoke ring, the pink smoke ring around the edge. And you can see how juicy this is. Definitely some juice in there. That's from the brining. Well, let's try it out. Wow. Delicious. Man, oh man. See the juices coming out. That's definitely from the brine. Just the right amount of smoke, not overpowering. But boy, is that delicious. Oh, can't wait till my mom gets over here a little bit later. Try them out. You can see the smoke ring there. Wow, guys. Absolutely delicious. I would highly recommend this if you just got a smoker. Real easy. Hey guys, here we are with the smoked pork chop. I got everyone to slice. This is my son Kyle. Kyle, try a piece.
Wait, I've tried this before, so don't...
No, you haven't tried this. This is smoked pork chop.
No, I've done it at Thanksgiving, so you don't have to announce it, because they might have seen the video. And,
that was turkey.
You know. Well, if you haven't seen the videos, I'm going to start my new channel. So...
okay, Kyle. Try it,
I'm going to try this.
Wait.
Ready, set, go. We'll let you.
Taste the smoke flavor. I'm curious to think what you think of it.
Really chewy.
Really good.
You can really see the smoke ring on it.
It's juicy and chewy. Chewier than anything that I've tasted.
Look at the size of the pork chop.
Yeah. All right. Juicy and what did you
Great
say?
flavor.
Great flavor.
Can you taste the smoke? Smoke? No?
Tiny bit.
Tiny bit. Okay.
And
It means it's not
chewy as
overpowering.
It's even chewier than like Chips Ahoy cookies or something, like chewier than that.
Okay, guys.
They're good. They're excellent.
Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe and watch for my other smoking videos
Oh,
coming
I
soon.
didn't